Australian Squadron. I'll detail our roles and capabilities, as well as today we'll be looking at Operation Pacific Assist. Our response was largely a couple of C-17s. I'll be looking at an overview of the Pacific Assist live document, which is updated as events go on. Secondly, immediately after, got together and started looking at what worked well and what we need to improve. The Australian Navy, the Australian Regular Army and the Royal Australian Air Force. The ADF is answerable to a diarchy. So we have a civilians and the Ramsey operation. You'll know that because we've got the diarchy at the top, what they tend to do is they put a military interesting at times, but it makes sure that everyone's concerns are addressed. The Air Force in a plan called Plan Jericho, which is about getting for Force 2025, which is about getting us to use technology and get to an AME squadron and 2 generic medical squadrons. As well as that, we pretty much form up around there, and you'll notice that a large portion of our bases, essentially, then the third wing within the group is the expeditionary wing. Now, one of my wing commanders didn't have that expeditionary requirement on top of us. Okay, so that's just the resource constraints and the reality of 3 security force squadrons. And we also have an emerging capability which was developed this year, which was the speaking. That is our role. Now, we can obviously tailor that up or tailor that down and take more forces from those fixed base squadrons. But when we do that, it has an effect on our raise, train, sustain function on all those various bases, personnel and a resource build. And the HADR support. Now, a lot of that subsequently came under Captain Bannister in JTF 665.
Liaison operating group supporting the head of mission. Is that correct?
Yes, our deal and supplementary defence staff actually turn into part of the JTF when it forms. So instead of coming out when the JTF is formed, they can actually stay there because they've been on the ground.
Since this is a contingency squadron, so it was established when the incident happened.
Or it was an existing.
Yes, your unit already existed.
Yes, our unit
led through the
primarily
CJTF.
led through the CJTF.
So that's where the difference was.
Yes.
It's the CJTF as opposed to.
Yes. So the LO's in there, and then lead planning for most of these things, including the needs assessments, was conducted by the CJTF.
There that wanted to help, they do not know where to go because there's no command and control. So that was the great lesson that we've learned from that incident.
So that you wouldn't have the, hi, I'm here to help and I don't know what to do. And I think we were better postured. And then if you look at Nepal, same thing. Before we got there, there was already a multinational coordination cell that was in place, you know, with multinational participation.
One province is affected, another province is affected. It was really hard where to get that control.
Right over the horizon, satellite dishes, etc., to be able to connect back to, you know, central government or central coordination node, you're pretty much on your own. And you know, so our ability as an Air Force, you know, which means we're useful when we cover big distances, right, is
not the Australian military, not the Friends Agency. So I guess it's really important to bear in mind that it's that the government of Vanuatu needed to be the ones to be seen to be providing the aid, you know, and we were just a vehicle to do that. So I guess there's a reliance on us to make sure we've got the right people feeding the right messages back up to the government